What's going on, guys? David back for another trading show, a technical and fundamental look at the crypto markets. Now, the title of today's show is Altcoins, are they showing signs of breaking out? We'll cover that. Talk a little bit about Bitcoin seller exhaustion, what historically we've seen. Got some on-chain data I want to share. Got this video from President Donald Trump. Also, big Bittensor news as they've gotten listed on Coinbase. I'll kind of dive into what does that mean. This very interesting chart and what that could mean for Bitcoin and overall liquidity for the markets. How Bitcoin has performed versus others, aka altcoins, and then what the market makers have been doing. And finally, we'll talk about what Samson Mao said. You know what? Let's actually move this ahead of the last one. And so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is David. I'm 1/3 of Sin City Crypto. This is our trading night show. We do have our regular scheduled live show in the AM, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, where we cover more like basic news. I do have a co-host and a producer, but for these shows, it is just me and you. Speaking of you, I need you to like the video, make sure to subscribe, and stay active in the chat. I do have a goal set up. Someone in the chat earlier today during the live show said, we should bring back Rate My Portfolio. So I did a super chat goal. If we get one, I'll pick one portfolio and I'll rate it top to bottom. Unless you have like 50 coins, and probably won't get through all of them, but either way. All right, let's start here with BTC. This is Bitcoin on the 1 hour. So a couple good things we're seeing here. One, this order block right here, where we saw around 6,000 Bitcoin traded. Now, this is between 96.1 and 96.7. Again, this is on the lower time frame on the hour. A few things happened. One, we got to break a structure, meaning we put in enough higher highs and higher lows to break this downward structure. As you can see here, coming in around 95.2, we put in this higher high here, or this higher low here. Coming in on this side, put in another higher low. And then depending on when we start to retrace, so we're currently on the up, on the up and up, but we've also put in higher highs as well, which is very important. So these are just a few things that we're taking a look at. And again, this is on the very short time frame for BTC. What we did see here, though, is a liquidity grab right around 96.9, which is currently where we're trading at now, which was also the previous day high. What does that mean? That means sellers stepped in and they sold. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, if you zoom into the 4 hour on BTC, you see a beautiful V-shaped recovery for Bitcoin, which is great news. But if you zoom out on the 4 hour, this thing is still currently in a downtrend. Depending on how this price action plays out, and let me get rid of you first. I'm gonna come back here. Let me get rid of this here. Let's put up a clean chart. Okay, what we could potentially be seeing play out here, depending on what we see over the next, 10 to 15 4-hour candles, is you could potentially be seeing a reverse shoulder, head, and a potential shoulder that could break to the upside and then move again. And we'll measure this from the depth of the head to the bottom, would be a 4% move to the upside on the 4 hour, depending on where this thing breaks. If it breaks right by the neckline, you're looking at 97, around 97. Well, actually, it would be around 97.8 for a breakout. And you're looking at around over $100,000 Bitcoin. And so that would be extremely welcomed for BTC, which we know Bitcoin moves the rest of the markets. And then again, I like putting these support and resistance bands on, especially on multiple time frames. You're able to see a lot of confluence of, hey, which time frames. Now, I do have this thing set up to always show the 4 hour, the 2 hour, and the daily, and then whatever time frame I'm on, it'll pop that up as well. And so you can see here, this 98.5 to around 98.8 level, I am interested in shorting Bitcoin here, potentially, again, depending on what we see from the MACD, depending on what we see, and of course, not of course, but we did get a bullish crossover on the MACD. Now, the way I like to trade this is I look for a bullish crossover. So this happened, but what didn't happen is where this crossover took place. If this crossover took place at a key level of support, then I would be an easy long. And I've back tested this multiple times. Let me try to find one example of playing or getting into this indicator here. So This one, so you can see which ones are false signals and which ones are not. So this one, you take a look. We broke our MACD line, broke above our signal line, which is typically a bullish signal, and it happened below our zero line, which is, again, what you want to see. But the problem was it happened around a resistance area, and it was actually a false signal, and we got a reinversion, or it reinverted again. I'm just going to real quick look and see, did we find any of them that had that bullish crossover, but happened at resistance right here, okay? At support right here. This is a absolutely perfect example, okay? This was back on January 13th. We saw a bullish crossover on the MACD. Price was sitting right around support, and price started to rally. And at the time, if you were to enter here, you'd be looking at around a 17% gain in BTC. And so depending on sentiment, where the market is, what the structure of the chart is saying, as of right now Bitcoin, and there's a couple others I know I mentioned yesterday, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but there's a couple other ones where I would be open to the idea of longing support versus just shorting resistance. You take a look at any other chart outside of maybe Litecoin, Mantra. I think Bittensor broke. Let's look at Solana. I think Bittensor broke structure to the upside. I'll look at Solana, right? Even if it pumps, it just spills off. And so unless your timing is absolutely perfect, and your measured moves are perfect, and your stop losses and take profits are perfect, and there's not too much volatility around those for it to come in and ruin and not fill those stop losses and those take profits, you're looking at really, you gain a little bit and then it just spills to the downside. Not to mention, again, as we talked about yesterday, almost every single cryptocurrency, you take a look at the 4-hour, the 8-hour, it's just, they're all just massive bull flags. We saw a few of them break out yesterday, but just something to keep an eye on. So I'm more inclined personally to short resistance versus long support, unless, again, something fundamentally changes. I do want to give an update on our trading competition. I know in the morning live show, everyone was laughing, saying, oh my God, the top ROI was only negative 1%. Well, that has changed. As you can see, Adrian, congrats, Adrian. You're currently in first place with a ROI of 35.36%. And then the next one is B2, the B2 Bomber, 26.89% on ROI. So on Monday, whoever is in number one will get $300, no strings attached, airdropped to their spot wallet. And so if you're a trader, and especially if you're in the US, no VPN, no KYC, join our trading competition. That link is going to be pinned to the top of the comment section. Also, it's going to be in the description of this video. Again, say hello. I'd love to give you guys a shout out. R. Gilbert says, dump. It's going down. Maybe. Hey, bro, what's the settings on your support and resistance? Okay, I can share that with you. Let's take a look here. So what I'm using is the support and resistance MTF from Flux Charts. And I have 3 time frames. I have one on whatever chart I'm on. The second one, and feel free to pause and screenshot this. I got the daily and the 2-hour. And I'm also showing breaks and retests. So if you want to play around with this and do a 4-hour one day, or if you want to go higher time frame, like maybe, weekly, monthly. The only thing when you go higher time frame is on some of the newer altcoins, maybe they only have like a year of price action history or a year and a half. Depending on who you're sourcing it from, you're not going to get these bands. But for Bitcoin, it'll be fine. In this case, this one's on Solana. So that is what I'm using. It just kind of gives me a brief. I like to keep things as simple as possible, right? I look in terms of, this is me personally. Some people might like it. Some people might not like it. I look at a set of candles, individual candles, and a set or a pattern of candles. And I try to analyze what were the traders doing? What was the sentiment of the traders, the investors? Were they indecisive? Were they extremely decisive? Was it on low volume? Could this be a manipulation pump? And I like to throw bands, indicators, and support and resistance levels on there so I can get an overview of exactly where the trend is, where we're going. Are we shorting support, or are we shorting resistance and longing support? So that's kind of what I do. Everyone's got their own style, but that's just me personally. It's worked out pretty damn well. So I'm gonna stick with that. So hope that helps you, my friend. I forgot who asked that. That was Irish Red. ICP crypto is in 22. What happened to ICP from $700 to $6? Sam Bankman-Fried, that's what happened. That's what happened. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. The rest of the markets here. Bitcoin seeing a nice bounce back, up 1.61% on the 24-hour. We have ETH up 2.19%. So we have ETH outperforming Bitcoin. Who would have thought? And then XRP, BNB, and then Cardano's really been flat. You know, I mentioned earlier, Cardano was on a nice little run. It was getting ready to break that 85-cent level. And where did you go, Ada? There you are. Let's go on the higher time frame for Ada. And I have this chart here, and we did do a Cardano video today, and I kind of highlighted this, but we had that run up to 80, call it 83 cents, right? Just a clear breakout of this bull flag pattern. Okay, and I'll remove the support and resistance band so you can see it. I love trading flags. I think they're simple. I think they're easy to see. I think it's not too complicated. Again, the simpler, the better. Then you can dig into more of the psychology of the trades, the traders, and what they're doing. And so this was a clear breakout. And then again, that big washout we saw, which brought us back in. But looks like we've broken above. Now, again, the measured move here at this breakout would be ADA at right around 95 cents. And we have that dollar level. We have the dollar level kind of mapped out here. So if you're looking for a trade on ADA, what I would do is I would take a look and see, and I will hide this, and let's go back to our support and resistance bands. We can also throw on our moving average ribbon, see if we're trading above or below, which we're trading above. This is great. So you have really, really strong support right at 67 cents. So to me, if you're a set it and forget it person, and maybe you're not a swing trader, but you're a position trader, right? So you're not as active. You're okay with putting in some limit orders and waiting for them to fill, putting stop losses. Great. Go ahead and put a limit order on, not financial advice. Go ahead and put a limit order at 67 point, you know what? Call it 67.55 cents. We're seeing confluence on the open, or the close on the 200 MA ribbon. And you're also seeing what price did last time. And this was not too long ago. This was February 9th, where we came back to retest our ribbon bands, and we ran up around 25%. So if we get that retest again, now, of course, this is dynamic, so it'll move up or move down. But this level here, even if you take away the bands and just take a look at how price reacted in that area, it's pretty simple, right? Buyers felt this was a discount zone, so they bid the price up and they bought it. Now, we got two retests on the daily and the 2-hour support or the resistance levels, and we got rejected. Attempted to retest again. This was our breakout of that bull flag, got rejected. And so what I'm really keeping my eye on is that 81 to 83 cent level. What is Cardano going to do? Let's actually throw on our price action concepts and take a look if there's any large order blocks or anything in. So you have a couple things going. One, you have a large volume block, which around 22% of all ADA was traded. The majority of that was buyers. Great, right? We take a look here. Last time price was down here was back on the 1st of January. Price dipped down here, buyer stepped in, and the price of ADA rallied around 38%. Now, on the way down, we completely skipped that level, okay? And then we actually created a fair value gap to the downside. Now, I fully expect this gap to fill, which would put us right around 88.6 cents. That doesn't mean that we can't run up, that we can't break out of this bull flag, right? Run up, find some resistance, come back down, retest our previous week high, and then we're off to that dollar mark. That is what I'd be looking at. So couple of easy setups here, guys. Limit order at 65.55 cents, and watch to see how price reacts between 83.5 and around 85 to 88 cents. If we're seeing volume and velocity and we're seeing large green big-bodied candles, I think we're going straight to $1. And at that point, again, analyze, are we seeing decreasing volume? Are we maybe seeing some divergence? What's the MACD showing us? Right now, the MACD is still considered bearish, right? At least on the MACD and signal line, we want this thing to be trading above our zero line. But you can see here, we are seeing a little bit of money flowing in. And so, you know what? Speaking of money flowing in, let's take a look at the Sin City indicator. And so you can see here, this is open interest. So this is the liquidity flow index, and this measures open interest, right? So you had When price was going down, obviously the open interest is negative. And then when you see large rallies, now that's not how I use this indicator to trade. How I use this indicator to trade is a break of the sentiment, which is going to be your gray line. If we break that zero line to the upside, usually price follows. And it's not necessarily a lagging indicator, but it's also not like a super forecasting indicator as well. It's pretty accurate. It's pretty good. But again, trading is all about probabilities of what you expect the price to do and how price reacts at certain key resistance and support levels. Now we take a look at some of the biggest gainers. Now this is interesting to see here. So this is IP story. So this project, let me just go check that out right now. This project launched an AI agent on Virtual's protocol. And this was a play that we used or that we put out for our Patreon members. They are the creators of this AI agent. Now, AI agents have taken an absolute shellacking. I don't even want to tell you how much my portfolio is down from my AI agents. I know some of them are probably not going to come back. Majority of them I took profit on. Great. I knew the risk when I got in. It's all good. But the ones that are going to come back, I've added to those positions, including AIXBT. But this is one that was founded by Story Protocol, right? In Opus Genesis. So this is an interesting one. This thing ran up to a $6.8 million valuation. It's currently sitting at 2.58. Super, super risky, guys. Could something go wrong? Sure. I honestly, I would look at this as not as risky as a meme coin, but not as solid as like a whatever L2 or L3 or a gaming token or whatever it is. So I kind of put it in the middle. I put this risk factor like 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. There's a chance that AI agents continue to take a beating. This thing dips to 1 million market cap, but this is interesting. This is an interesting one. I have a bag of this. I haven't sold it. I think this is going to do fairly nicely. And then this is their token. It is currently the #1 gainer on the 24-hour, up 41.46%. And then Sonic. Sonic, formerly known as Phantom. This is like one of the sneakiest cryptos. I can argue is the most sneakiest cryptocurrency, okay? Everyone knows his DeFi. Everyone knows Andre Cronje. Everyone knows DeFi is important. Everyone understands that at some point DeFi is going to get its massive run. But everyone forgets about Phantom, Sonic. They just forget. And then the price starts pumping and everyone's like, oh yeah, Sonic does that. And so Sonic is something that we've kind of highlighted throughout the bear market of a project that is going to have a big bounce back. And let's take a look at the Sonic chart here. I believe I added this yesterday. If I didn't, I can add it again. Let's just add it again. I did add it yesterday. Let's go here. Bam, Sonic. Let's go to the lower time frames on the 1 hour. Okay, we're seeing resistance right at this 672.67 cent level. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to minimize the RSI. And we're going to take a look at our MACD. Okay, this would have been a perfect short setup. Okay, why? Well, you're bumping up against this premium zone, which historically has been resistance. And if I take this off and I throw on our bands on the 1 hour, right? And now with this one, you got to remember since it had its token migration and a new one, it's not going to have as much data as some of the other ones are. In fact, let me just pull up a Phantom chart, okay? Because these things have been trading. So we're going to go Phantom US dollar. Bam. Let's throw on our support. Okay, so this thing is loading. But just even with just like the price action concepts, you got this bearish crossover on the MACD, and it happened at essentially cycle highs, right? I mean, the last time we were up in this area was January. Yeah, I mean, we did get up here this year. Okay, this is a 1 hour chart. So Phantom on the cycle at the very least got up to around $1.50. And there we go. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of the price action concepts, and we're going to keep on this high-low monthly time. Oh, there you go. That was, I mean, the 2 hour, you see that 2 hour there? that 75-cent level. We had that bearish crossover on the MACD. It happened right at resistance. So that would have been an easy trade setup. And you ride this thing. I think this thing potentially still has some downside to go. If we get rid of this and we throw on our fibs, take a look at where we can expect price to settle in. Okay, so 382 level potentially, which would put it right around 68.58 cents. If we get rid of the wicks, we're kind of seeing a bounce off of the 236 level. Now, again, this thing has ran extremely hot, even on the 4-hour. I mean, you had, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive green candles with almost no wicks to the downside, right? So when I look at this and I say, okay, I told you guys, right? I look at pattern of candles and psychology. This right here tells me that buyers came in with strength, right? Up only with massive amounts, with big bodies and no wicks to the downside. And if you throw on the Heikin-Ashi candles, you can see here that this was an absolute, I mean, if you were worried about, hey, is this a downtrend? Is this an uptrend? This was a massive uptrend. You can see here, typically if you're trading Heikin-Ashi, what you want to see is 2 consecutive green or red candles with no wicks to the downside. So if you would have followed that pattern, you would have entered your trade right here, okay? Right here. And you would have ridden that thing up another 25%. So you would have gotten in right around 61.7 cents. Now, of course, I'm not saying you would have timed the top or the bottom, but at some point, hey, if you're up that much, multiplied by your leverage, it's a pretty good damn trade, especially when the markets are moving sideways. And so the other thing I'm seeing here on the 4-hour is a couple of things. 1, this was a liquidation candle to the downside. 2, this is a shooting star that is at the top of a large downtrend or a large uptrend, which typically signals reversals. And I'll show you an example here. Now, the important note here, when you talk about shooting stars, or hammers, and inverted hammers, the color does not matter. The position matters. Okay. So if it's in the middle of a chart, if it's like here, no one gives a shit. It's not going to matter. You want to see it at the top of an uptrend or at the bottom of a downtrend. That is typically a reversal. And this is a perfect example. This was back on January 31st. It was a Friday. We saw this shooting star candle, and then we saw price go down 31%. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see price go down 31%, but when we're talking about a trade, and in fact, I mean, look at what you're seeing, right? You're seeing a shooting star and you're seeing a hammer at the top of this. So just off of like looking at the candles, saying, what was the investor sentiment that day? Here's what the investor sentiment was 4 hours ago. Bulls pushed the price up, bears pushed the price back down, and price closed below where it opened. So by the end of when this 4-hour candle was finished, the bears had complete control of the chart. So take that what you will, but I'll be looking potentially for a short here. And I'm going to actually, maybe this might be a nice trade setup here. Now, the short would have been right at 75 cents. Now, you could potentially try to get in and get out at 65.8, but it's better to be patient than try to rush into a trade. Every time I rush into a trade, you end up losing your shirt. All right, take a quick break. Take a look at the chat here. Also going to take a sip of water. Crypto merch up. The inverted head and shoulders falling wedge of Bart Simpson. Wasn't it called something else before Phantom? I don't think so. I think it was Phantom and then moved to Sonic. Jason Warrior said, what are your thoughts on Sequoia by Virtuals? So Jason, answer your question. For me, nothing's changed fundamentally for Sequoia. Still doing the same thing. Still ran by the same team. Still same. My thesis has not changed. Now the name has changed. And anytime you get a branding change or a name change, you're going to get people that sell. right? You get the people that are like, oh my God, where's Sequoia? I'm not finding it up. Let me sell it. Oh my God, I'm not. So it's just, for me, it's FUD. Nothing has changed that I've seen personally that would make me become less bullish or actually bearish on Sequoia. So I still hold some. Of course, I've taken profit on it. So everything in my portfolio, excuse me, when it comes to Sequoia is 100% profit. So, all right, let's take a look at this here. This was posted by Marty Party. Bitcoin sell-off is nearly over. So this is the Bitcoin short-term holder profit loss to exchanges, measuring essentially seller exhaustion. As you can see here from the chart, looks like the sellers are exhausted, or plot twist, are the sellers, what's that one guy's name who's always in those memes? The guy who, David Goggins. Or are the sellers all just a bunch of David Goggins who have no cap on their stamina? And then this was posted by UniPCS, aka Bunkai. So here's some hopium amidst all the doom posting on the timeline. 9 out of the last 10 Februaries have ended green for Bitcoin and crypto. And every post-halving February has been green since Bitcoin's inception. February is the greenest month of the year for crypto alongside October. So will we see something different? I don't know. Maybe we'll. Maybe we won't. I don't really care. Bitcoin is one where I'm not trading that thing unless, of course, longing, shorting. But as far as in and out of my portfolio, it's not an active trade for me. So if it goes down, I'll buy it. If it goes up, great, cool. If I have it in a certain bucket where I plan on taking profit of it, I'll take profit. But it's not something. So Bitcoin is one where you can literally just set it and forget it, right? And then also, I do want to share this chart. This is the Bitcoin demand momentum. We're starting to pick back up. So we did get to a bottom. This was back on the 29th of January. We hit a bottom and we're starting to pick back up. As you can see here, as the positive demand momentum goes up, it's pretty much congruent with what we see in price. Outside of maybe, I mean, even here, when you saw demand go low, right, it was negative demand, price continued to grind up for BTC. And so, you know, which kind of goes back to this. Where did Samson Mao go? This right here. So this was interesting, okay? Samson Mao, he's very well respected in crypto. Well, not in crypto, but in Bitcoin. He said Bitcoin's movement looks manufactured and possibly suppressed as it trades at an unnaturally tight range despite heavy institutional buying. And there was one more thing I wanted to show, and I'll get to this. Is an interesting one right here, the OTC flows. But I could have swore there was one. There was one about daily change. No, it was about the. All right, I guess I lost it. But there was one showing how much the funds and the rate they've been accumulating at. And so they're buying, right? They are buying. It's just the price isn't moving. And so take a look at this. This is Bitcoin OTC inflows. Now, if you're not familiar, OTC is, let me remove myself to this side. OTC is over the counter. So if Michael Saylor has $1 billion of Bitcoin, he's not going to go to the open market, to the liquidity books or the order books. Why? Because it's going to have a large price impact. By the time the order fills, instead of getting it at 90,000, he'll get it at 100,000 or 95,000. So it's beneficial to them to make an OTC deal. You don't got to pay the fees. You get the price you want. You agree to a price. And so the ETF, the whales, the institutions, the governments, the banks, they all been buying on OTC. OTC does not really affect the price because it's not taking Bitcoin away from the order books. Now, when people sell, they can also sell OTC, but a majority of people just sell into the market. So you got the sell side demand that it continues to rise, right? The ask continues to rise and the bid continues to go down because the large buys are happening off the books, but the large sells are happening on the books. But inflows have been slowing down for OTC, as you can see here on Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, at some point, there's going to be an inflection point. It's going to be, okay, we have, I don't know, a total of $50 billion of Bitcoin buys that people want OTC. Problem is, we don't got enough of that Bitcoin. So what do they do next? They go to the miners. They say, hey, Marathon, hey, Riot, hey, Hut 8, hey, CleanSpark, can we buy $5 billion of Bitcoin off you? Sorry, we can only sell you like 300 million. We got our own reserve. We're not trying to sell it. Okay, fuck, okay. Hey, Bitcoin whale that has 25,000 Bitcoin that they mined in 2011. Are you willing to do an OTC trade for your Bitcoin? Nah, man, I'm a holder. Diamond hands, long term. I ain't selling my Bitcoin. Fuck. Where do I go? Hey, Germany. Hey, USA. Hey, JP Morgan. Hey, BlackRock. Hey, this. And eventually, they're going to have to dip into the order books, and that's where you're going to start seeing the violent price action. So I hope you guys like my acting skills. I was actually going to be an actor. I lied. I was going to be in a commercial, but my parents were too cheap to pay the $2,000, which thankfully, because after I watched that one movie with James Caviezel, I think his name is, with the kids and I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get flagged on YouTube, but it was, I forget what the name of the movie was, and how they did that, I was like, thank God my parents didn't do that. All right, let's take a listen to, if you're living in the U.S., our president, Donald J. Trump, talking about crypto and Bitcoin. Let's take a listen.
Points, and Bitcoin has set multiple all-time record highs because everyone knows that I'm committed to making America the crypto capital. We want to stay at the forefront of everything, and one of them is crypto, and Miami seems to be the center of the action, come to think of it, and maybe it'll stay there. Points, and Bitcoin is set multiple.
You know what? I'm sorry, Trump, but it ain't because of you the market's went. I mean, I'm sure some of it is you and people are excited. And I can also argue you were kind of the reason the price went down. You launched your meme coin and your wife launched one. And it wasn't really a good look. It's like a lot of liquidity. And then the whole tariff thing, which I think a lot of the market is overplaying it. Same thing happened in 2018. So, Mr. President, I know we're all more bullish because you're in office, but I wouldn't say the pump was because of you. In actuality, the pump was, well, the ETF started it. The approval of the ETF. And so, but at the end of the day, 99 times better than Joe Biden and company in terms of crypto and other areas as well. But it's not a political show, so I'm not going to get into the politics of it. All right. Checking in on the chat here. Market's getting used to new U.S. president offers naturally ease and go back to business as usual. I agree, Blue Man Music. I agree, right? You're talking about a person that doesn't give a crap, doesn't give a shit about what people write about him, I mean, he does, but he's still going to say what he wants. He's still going to do what he wants. And he doesn't care if he's politically correct. He'll say some shit that turns the markets upside down. And like with the whole Zelensky thing, he's like, yeah, he was a good actor and they need to hold elections. They haven't held elections. And everyone's like, oh my God, what does that mean? Does that mean they're gonna throw out the government? Does that mean Russia's gonna win? And so the markets try to foreshadow what's going to happen in the markets, or the investors and Wall Street, they try to foreshadow what ripple effects these decisions are going to have, and then they place their bets. And then as Blue Man Music said, until people get used to him again, and like, all right, he's talking about tariffs, he's probably using as a bargaining chip. No big deal. We continue up and to the right. Oh, he's throwing shade at Zelensky. Oh, we know they got a meeting coming up and he wants to kind of assert dominance. All right, cool. Nothing's going to happen here. Continue to resume the up and to the right. So just interesting. Is Niagara Falls in the U.S.? I believe it's in Canada. I could be wrong. Could be very wrong. Seems to coincide with the chart. Something Cowan has been wrong. Yeah, Benjamin Cowan has been pretty spot on. I mean, you know what? In honor of Mr. Cowan, which by the way, this is the Crypto Almanac. I'm sure a lot of you have it. Hi, I'm right here, camera. Hi, I'm right here, camera. All right, let me fix my camera real quick because this thing is this thing tracks you via AI. And so I guess me throwing the book up there kind of threw it off. So give me just a second here, my friends. And there we go. Hi, camera. Thanks for coming back to me. Appreciate it. So anyways, Benjamin Cowan actually did an entire write-up on Bitcoin dominance in our almanac. So it was really good. It was one of my favorites in there. So big shout out to Ben. I don't know if he watches our show or not, but if he does, Ben, thank you. We appreciate it. And you take a look at dominance here on BTC. Okay, let's go to the daily, right? And we did get that resistance right at 61%. And again, this is something that Magic has talked about. But here's the good news, potentially good news, is as I mentioned, everything is essentially in a bear flag, and it looks like, I mean, this is too far gone to be a bull flag, in my opinion, right? Because you can look at this and say, okay, well, this is the pull and the flag down, but I think it's gone too far down. What I think we're potentially seeing now is a bear flag, and bear flags break to the downside. Now, how much downside? You zoom out to the chart, right? And just visually, right? Visually, let's throw a horizontal line here. Visually, 59%. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a lot. I know 59 cents does not seem like, 59% does not seem like a lot. But you're talking about 2% in a $2 trillion asset class, in an asset. So it is a lot. And you take a look what's happened previously at 59% dominance for Bitcoin. Resistance, support, completely broke through resistance, came back, retested a support, and then came all the way back up to 61.8 cents, now 61.8%. Now I did make a post, Bitcoin dominance going straight to 70%. If these meme coin shenanigans continue to happen, it's gonna happen, dude. People are just gonna get sick and tired of the garbage, and they're gonna pile all their money into BTC. Now the bad news, well, at least we did put in a higher high on the dominance, so this chart is still technically structurally to the upside outside of one dip. I mean, you look at historically, let's go back to the 2021 bull market cycle, okay? Let's take a look at the 2021 bull market cycle. So we had our initial top in around March, okay? Around March. So Bitcoin dominance, this was in January, got up to 73%. 73%. And at the very bottom, 40%. That is when altcoins had their all-time high. Dominance chopped sideways. Dominance continued to go up. And where is October? Here we go. On the double top, 47% we saw Bitcoin get up to. And then everything spilled off and it started slowly grinding up. Now this coincides with the altcoin rally we had where Bitcoin dropped from 61 to 54% dominance and it's been grinding higher since. Now, when you look at this and say, okay, well, dominance is grinding higher, shouldn't Bitcoin's price go up? And this goes back to what Samson Mao said. Could we potentially be seeing some manipulation? I think in every market there's manipulation, but especially in Wall Street, there is definitely manipulation. All right, I want to move on to some altcoin news. So this was, big shout out to Bittensor. You've been watching me or the show, you know, I've been a huge proponent of Tau, Bittensor. I even made an announcement that I had sold a majority of my Solana for Bittensor at around $400. And although Solana continued to grind up and Bittensor actually went down, I was still very happy with my trade. One, because a lot of that Solana I bought was between $15 and $20, so I was in massive profit. And two, I really believe what Bittensor is doing, and I truly believe AI is going to be a huge narrative. To me, it was a no-brainer with the emissions, the way the fundamentals and technicals are set up. Only 21 million coins, 8 million circulating. To me, it's a no-brainer, and it's machine learning AI. I mean, you have AI agents on multiple platforms like Virtual's protocol that are leveraging Bittensor subnets. And now, right, you have Coinbase is officially listing Bittensor. Looks like February 20th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, if liquidity conditions are met. So that's tomorrow, 9 a.m. Vegas time. So by the time we go live for the live show tomorrow, Bittensor should be trading on Coinbase. Now, I've been talking about this in our Discord. I've been talking about this to our Patreon members. DTAO, which is dynamic Tau, is going to be a game changer. And well, is it a coincidence that Bittensor is the number 3 gainer, up 15% on the 24-hour? And I'll get back to that chart I had up here in a second, but I want to throw on a Bittensor chart. Take a look at how price action has been for Tau. Now, Tau came out of the gates just absolutely. I mean, this is from Binance. It got up to $1,200. It sold off, and then we had a cycle high so far of $744. And so we haven't seen any break of structure on Bittensor. So I am optimistically cautious. But if we can clear this 417 level and spend any decent amount of time above it, this is a potential reversal. This is a potential reversal in the chart for Bittensor. Okay, so here essentially you had a falling wedge, and it looks like we broke into the downside or to the upside. Okay, so this actually, pay attention here. Okay, let's take a look, and I'm kind of talking myself through this so you guys understand my thinking when I look at charts like this. You take a look. Okay, so one thing I'm looking at is, all right, we've broken out officially of this falling wedge. Okay. Could this be a false breakout? And we come all the way back down and retest support here at around 275? Absolutely. That is not something I'm willing to write off. Yeah, it could happen. What I want to do is I want to wait for a retest, for a bump and run, right? Which would put us, depending on when it happens, $3.85 to, I don't know, $3.68. So $368 to $385. If we get a retest of this range and it holds, Bittensor's going to absolutely crush it. I mean, let's throw this on here and let's get rid of the drawings. So here you have some confluence on the 2-hour and the 1-day, which is right around $498. Now, if we do break out and we clear, I do expect that to be our resistance level. Why? Well, that is where our last 2 highs have been. This was back on the 17th of January and a wick up there on the 29th of January. Both times we've gotten rejected. Now, if this retest didn't fail and we reclaimed it, this chart would have completely changed. But we continued into this falling wedge pattern for really 2 months. 2 months. So this breakout, in my opinion, is going to be big. But the key level you're looking at, and you can already see here, we're already put in 2 higher lows. We've put in a higher high. Can we take out this $484? I expect a retest first and then off to the races. So my strategy here is to enter on a retest around $383 on the second candle, not the first one. I want it to retest. I want that candle to close, and I want to see what the next candle does. And on that candle, I will open a long position on Bittensor, and I will put my take profit at $488, or at least a trailing take profit, right? So I'll partially close out my position because, again, if this thing runs, you're talking about getting up to that $600-700 level and just taking a look, not even nothing. I mean, $600, right? We've consolidated in this area. This has been support. This has been resistance. This was a big level of resistance on our way to $700. And on the way down, we tried to reclaim, got rejected, and then we tried to tap that spot again, but we ultimately failed. So that is the area we're looking at for Bittensor. But back to this again. What does this mean? This means that the Bittensor, the Tau token, instead of just staking it to the mainnet, they call it root, you can stake it to different subnets. And each subnet does different things. So take, for example, subnet number 6. Okay, where's subnet number 6? Is subnet number 6 not on here? Okay, take, I'll give you one I know. Where is Bitmind? Okay, take Bitmind, for example. Over the last 24 hours, this subnet in value has grown 100%. And their emissions are 7.38%. So essentially the rewards that you get. So what this is doing is people are staking their tau. They're getting in return the dynamic tau, and they're able to stake it directly into whatever subnets they like. So what this creates is it creates an arena of competition. And we know competition breeds excellence. So if you're a subnet and you want people to stake their tau, to stake their DTau and flood your subnet with money, then you're going to have to do what no other subnet is doing. You're going to have to solve problems that no other subnets are solving. And so what this is also going to allow Bittensor, and how it's going to affect the network, is when people are looking to build somewhere, they're going to go to a platform that they understand that, hey, people have a lot of choices to invest in subnets. And we got this amazing idea. We're going to do this. Here's a subnet. Money starts flowing in. Everyone makes money. And so this is just green across the board. And I've been saying that the launch of Dynamic Tau was going to be a big catalyst for Bittensor, and it's come true so far. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, I don't know my shit on everything, but on a lot of things, especially AI and Bittensor, I know my stuff. And so, again, this trade setup, expecting a retest. I would not get in now. You're probably going to get wrecked. If Bitcoin was at like 120K, ETH was at 4 or 5K, and the sentiment was good, okay, maybe just make sure you got a tight stop loss. But at this current moment, what I'd recommend is waiting for a retest. Don't get ahead of yourself. And this was interesting too. This is posted by Nick Carter. So in yellow, you have U.S. debt held by China. You can see peaked out in 2010 and has been trending down ever since. Now the orange is U.S. debt held by stable coins. And this is actually converging, right? It's on the path to converge with China. What do I take away from this? You might be saying, well, what does that have to do with money going up and prices? Let me tell you something here, man. The U.S. government will look at this chart, or they'll see how much U.S. debt that these stablecoin issuers are buying, because they have to back the dollar one for one. They're going to say, you know what? What do you need? You need X, Y, and Z. You got it. And guess what? You look at any chart, stablecoins start going up. They start printing. Prices start going. It's like our own money printer. Tether, Circle, there are money printers. Anytime it's like $100 million printed, we see prices go up. I think that happened actually today or yesterday. And we're seeing a price rise in Bitcoin. But what this is going to do is it's going to force the lawmakers and Congress to get in there and pass legislation. And what is the benefit of having multiple stablecoin issuers, even being some of the largest banks like JP Morgan Chase and whatever? I'm not saying this is what we have to use. More liquidity, right? More framework, more structure, bigger players in the space. And also it gives this sense of credibility to our industry that has been absolutely ravaged because of what these freaking greedy people have been doing with the meme coins. So a couple interesting things I just wanted to share with you guys. I'm just peeping on the chat here really quick. Also going to take a sip of my energy drink. Ghost, if you're watching, second 3 shows in a row. All right. Is Bittensor American? I don't think so. You know what? Actually, let's check. Let's go to, good question. Let's go to CoinGecko, because I don't want to give you any wrong info. Let's go to CoinGecko, and where the there we go, dark mode. Cryptocurrency categories, and made in the USA. Sorry, I watched Borat so many times. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, I am Armenian. Made in China. What's made in China? Okay, let's see what's in made in China. Tron, OKB. VeChain is made in China? What? We know Conflux was. We know Neo was. Okay, interesting. Anyway, so if you don't know, I'm Armenian. That's my it's my culture, right? And in the movie Borat, the fat guy, he's actually speaking Armenian, so I understood everything he was saying. It was actually quite funny. Yeah. Anyways, all right, made in the USA. Let's take a peek. Bittensor, are you made in the United States of America? And it does not look like you are. Does not. So you have XRP, Solana, Cardano, Chainlink, Litecoin, XLM, Sui, Avalanche, Hedera, Uniswap. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's not. But you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm happy you mentioned that. You look at Dfinity, right? The company behind ICP, and I'm pretty sure. And correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Pretty sure that those guys are. I don't know if they're moving their headquarters to the U.S. or I think it was New York or California, but they're doing something here. And so could that be to be beneficiaries of the whole made in the USA? Potentially that is a yes. All right. Getting wrecked is not fun, but it will teach you a lot. I agree, man. I agree. Some lessons, and I am not a Kardashian dude. Some lessons are more expensive than others, but each lesson is important. And that's something I teach my kids is if you're going to make a mistake, learn from it. Analyze it. What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Even if it's a mistake that costs you $10,000, make that $10,000 worth your while so you don't make the same mistake again. That would be my one piece of advice. And then I do want to share this. So it's not something I'm surprised by. You know, one of these streams, this haptic mouse pad is really gonna piss me off, and I'm probably gonna throw it across the room and break it, and my wife's gonna come home and be like, "What the did you do?" Anyways, come on, I hate you. Okay, so this was posted by Ariel Givner. Okay. If you thought recent meme coin liquidity scams were bad, just wait until the market maker scheme unravels. Here's how it works. Market makers secure loans to acquire tokens at a discount. They offload those tokens for a hefty profit, driving prices down, triggering liquidations, and effectively nuking the chart. Once the price bottoms out, they quietly buy back at a lower cost. Then, when the project finally lands its exchange listings, the price rebounds and market makers dump again at the top. Here's the kicker. By securing those listings within a year, they sidestep high strike fees. The result? A perfectly legal rinse and repeat cycle where market makers and exchanges win every time at the retail investor's expense. At this point, I don't think this is a conspiracy. I'm just waiting for the house of cards to collapse, to which Marty Party was the one who posted on this. There we go. Now you want to work, I hope. No, you still don't want to work. Okay. I've been reporting. So he kind of shared this and was like, look, I've been talking about this, said I've shared a bot that tracks centralized exchange to market maker transfers. And you can watch for yourselves how the market is manipulated to cause maximum pain in both directions of the leverage trading market. Price makes narrative. The market makers will be used to make you think narratives are reasons for the price movement to stimulate your FOMO or fear emotion, but they are controlling all of it using this strategy for maximum self-benefit. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Whether it's legal or unethical, I'll leave it to the lawyers. But the fact remains you need to be aware of this so you don't lose your precious assets. To the person in the chat that asked me, why did ICP go from $700 to $6? That is exactly why, my friend. Because the market maker was Alameda Research. They hosed, and it didn't get up to $2,800. Just look at this, okay? And let's just zoom out to the weekly, okay? This looks like a dead project, right? This looks like an absolute, that's like L, literally, like a perfect squiggle, just a line L. But this chart does not tell the full story. And if you just were a chart trader and you just looked at charts, you don't look at what was happening, you say, this is a dead project. This project's dead. But it's actually very, very far from the truth. ICP is not a dead project. In fact, it's one of the biggest projects that is building and doing things that not a lot of blockchains say they can do things, but they really can't. And so, but if you zoom into ICP here, you go to the daily. I mean, just like everything else has struggled. And again, this bear flag that I had on there, it ended up breaking to the downside, right? Not to, what was that move? That was about an 8% move. Multiply by your leverage, and there you have it. So, but ICP, Also, it was a Head and Shoulders there too. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. ICP, it really got screwed over by the market makers. They came in way too high. Retail was excited. It was at the height of the bull market. Everyone got hosed, left a bad taste in people's mouths. And you know what? They've had Definity has had to fight an uphill battle. And shout out to that team, man, for them to continue to build and stick around. I know, I mean, my God, like it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy to continue to work when everyone's shitting on you, and it's just, but those guys stuck with it and they built a product that is really awesome. So I expect a big bounce back from the Internet Computer Protocol. All right. That'll do it for the show today. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Make sure to come back tomorrow. You know what, Dr. Payne, I try to buy some of these sold out, man. Really love the snack energy drink. Anyways, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. That is when we do our news-style live show. And then 5 p.m. Pacific, same time you're watching today's show, I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow with charts, fundamental, and technical analysis. So I appreciate all of you, and I want to implore you, sign up, join our trading competition. We're giving away a total of $3,000. No strings attached. If you're already a trader, you literally, all you got to do, create an account with the link pinned to the top of the comment section, create an account, deposit some money, start trading. If you're trading somewhere else, take some of that money, send it over to the new account, start trading. As long as you hit $100,000 in volume, which is like just laughable, right? You're going to be in the running, nothing else needed. So again, $3,000. So during times of market consolidation, choppy price action sideways, this is a great time to get some extra money. And so shout out to the people that are already participating and competing. We appreciate all of you. And we'll announce the winner on Monday. But again, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.